Hello sweet people. In today's video I'll be redesigning the Magic Winx form of Layla, if you know her by dub, or Aisha from, I guess, the originals. Hers was actually the very first transformation that I drew about 2 years back, and since then I think my style and understanding of art has changed a little bit, so naturally I went back to touch up on a few things that I felt needed it. However, in the process, unfortunately, I had to find out exactly where the limits of Procreate lie. The automatic save system is very forgiving for low battery states, however, the video recording feature did not survive me drawing for as long as the iPad completely black screen, so apologies for that. So when in the end you see a bunch of details like the entirety of Layla's hair just pop in, please don't be surprised, and again, I'm sorry, but let's get cracking. Layla is a sporty girl, both by interest and by physique. I imagine she's the kind of person who had an easy time putting on muscle mass by just taking a swim around the castle whenever she could. She's also incredibly practical and put together, and I thought her form would mirror that, being this swimsuit-esque situation with shorts and a top that made it easy for her to move in. I've also rammed it forward these details like the fins and the water type metal embellishments, as I really liked the rings in her original costume, but I didn't want to do just the simple bracelets. Water for Layla isn't just her magic element, it's also what surrounds her, what shapes her day. Though for of course most of her life, her day was shaped by whatever her parents demanded of her. Layla received a very strict princess-like upbringing, where all her day was structured with lessons of etiquette and cartography and knowing all the 15 million little kingdoms that they rule over and being the perfect princess that her parents wanted her to be. Sport was not just a stress relief for her, it was also reclaiming herself, her body, doing the things that she wanted to do. And for the most time the sport included going swimming with her cousins. Nereus, Tritennis, Tressa and Layla practically grew up together, playing in the low tides near the castle grounds. It was very important for the royal family to maintain a good relationship to merfolk, so Layla's parents always encouraged this connection she had to her cousins. Throughout this time, I think Layla would have been closest to Tritennis and Tressa, not necessarily so much to Nereus, who I imagine being this more serious and distanced kind of person. They would go diving and exploring together, and in these little excursions Layla would discover her powers, which she then would keep a secret from her parents for a long while, afraid that if they knew, they'd force her to train magic and take away this bit of autonomy that she's got. For once she'd wanted something that was private, just hers. But eventually the cat would be out of the bag. At one of the very tedious royal functions, Layla would snap and accidentally or purposefully douse a visiting prince who had just gotten on her nerves too much. After that, Layla would be schooled on Andros by local teachers for the longest time, until the Kingdom of Andros would be entrusted with taking care of the Pixies of Magics, which is an honorary role that gets passed around the kingdoms in 1 or 2 year sort of cyclical periods. The Androsian royal family then nominated Layla for the position, and she would be very honored to take it on, of course, not knowing how perilous this year would shape up for her and the Pixies. Layla has of course left Andros before in her life, but this would be her first solo mission, and she was more than determined to pass it with flying colours. Of course she's a high achiever, why wouldn't she? This then led down to the situation that when she did get into trouble with the Shadow Phoenix, she was very reluctant to call for help, seeing as it could have been read as a reflection on her capabilities and reflect bad on her family and Andros. She not only has herself to consider, but also the good opinion of other people in the magic universe. This leads her into the situation we know. Falling down a shaft, getting rescued by Althea girls, and then forming a deep friendship with the Winx. I think for at least one semester, Layla isn't even officially attending Althea. And then Headmistress Faragonda would make an offer to her parents praising Layla's abilities and readiness to save the pixies, which her parents would graciously accept and let her attend Althea until graduation. But this was of course not their plan for her. They've already been in contact with another noble family whose son they wanted her to marry, who is of course Naboo, who we would then meet in the Season 3 timeline. But alas, boy, problems are later to come for Layla. Let's get a little bit more into design. As I've said, this look is a more sporty expression of her personality. I think she can be very feminine and ladylike, but I really like to put her in shorts and button-down shirts, just things with a little bit more masculine edge. As the fairy of connection between water molecules, in this form she's also representing her home, which I have based on West African coastline and the island world in the Atlantic Ocean, with also some mixtures of other island and coastal regions of the world, such as Oceania and the Pacific region, as well as Sri Lanka and other South Asian island worlds in the Indian Ocean. Parents specifically, I imagine Niobe would be from like Gambia or the Côte d'Ivoire, and King Terodoro represents the Atlantic Islands. With that in mind, I try to draw inspiration from West African textiles, as well as fishing nets that you can see in her short design, and of course the ever-present water element in her jewellery and accessories. Her little fairy dust pouch is actually that waterproof hip bag. I thought that was practical and fitting and also quite nautical. And this was about where I left it when I first finished this drawing. And then the more I looked at it, the less I thought that she looked like herself. You know, I mean, sure, she looks like an iteration of Layla, but whenever I looked at her, it just wasn't exactly what I was imagining. And a large part of that was her hair. I think I've gone a very, very long way with trying to practice drawing curly hairstyles, and I really tried my best recreating a sort of 3C, 4A type of hairstyle for her. I definitely don't think her hair would be very, very coily. She also sometimes straightens it magically, or just, you know, does all these very intricate braid transitions by way of magic, I guess, you know, to think that lengthen uses hair out of nowhere. So in future transformations and also everyday looks, I just want her character to explore different hairstyles a little bit more. Specifically, various styles of braids and hair accessories. With magical hairdressing that gives Musa long hair out of nowhere, I think everything's possible. If you have suggestions for me to try, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this installment too, and see you all another time.